Hello! I want to tell you that episode 5 of Ahsoka was brilliant TV and even cinema, considering a lot of you were conned into going to see it in the cinema. This was 5 minutes of footage of Anakin Skywalker. I want to tell you about the originality that I saw, the great character development, the great storytelling. But yet again, I can't tell you that. Just like I can't tell you that with Phase 4 or Phase 5 of the MCU, the DCEU, and most probably James Gunn's DC Universe. It's all the same. The usual member berries and nostalgia bait. We just saw the Flash movie with Michael Keaton's Batman again baiting us in, but no one went to cinemas to watch it. I wonder why. The biggest problem we have in entertainment today is that these creatives don't have anything new to say about iconic characters or new characters. And even when they're inclusive, they have nothing to say about minorities or women. It's good to be seen and nothing more. Creatively, there's nothing to see within these structures and stories that they're telling, because they're really not telling us any stories. Episode 5 of Ahsoka does what the previous 4 episodes do, nothing different. It breaks your balls until you actually get to the point. So the footage of Anakin and Ahsoka together is great. The saber fighting is great. The flashback to the Clone Wars is great. But this should have been a two-hander. But of course they're not going to give us a two-hander, are they now? Because they want to keep on wasting time. They don't want to give us 52 minutes of Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka. And to make it worse, by the time we get to about half of the episode, Anakin's already gone, and we have to put up with Ahsoka with the other characters. Again, breaking our balls, taking its time, right? We didn't even see the villains of the story in this week's episode. They put this in cinemas and teased it as a major event. This episode, episode 5 of Ahsoka, is not a major event. It's an anticlimax, it's underwhelming, and it's a total waste of time. Even though I liked what I saw of Anakin Skywalker. I love Hayden Christensen. I know he's a big Star Wars fan. I know he loves doing this stuff. And that's what makes me sad. So I'm glad that he's happy that he keeps on getting to come back. But we were basically given next to nothing here. And that's the entire problem here. It's nothing. Because basically Dave Filoni hasn't got anything new to say about Ahsoka Tano. He's already said everything he had to say about her in the animated series where he created her in. This whole idea of translating animation to live action simply doesn't work. It's basically a show, just like The Mandalorian and the other shit they're making, that's filler. It's just there to buy time so you can subscribe to their platform. And that's it. They're not trying to take you anywhere. Let's get into Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. These two characters should already be here. There should already be acts of evil from Thrawn, and Ezra Bridger should be the Luke Skywalker hero fighting him, along with Ahsoka and all these characters that Filoni's introduced into live action since The Mandalorian. But no! They're going to break our balls and take our time, and maybe one day we will get a movie series where we do see Thrawn being evil and we do see Ezra being the hero. Ezra Bridger should be the main character in this universe, but all we've got are the usual lame mid-gal bosses insulting females and saying it's good enough you're being seen, but not doing them the due diligence that was done with Skywalker and Solo and the rest of the male characters in this universe. You're women, Your gal bosses, you don't have to earn it, you don't need to go on a journey, and that's that. It's actually disrespectful to minorities and women. You're not actually doing anything special with them. But in terms of Ahsoka, episode 5, it's a nothing episode. When Anakin and Ahsoka are not on screen, it's boring. They're doing nothing. It's the same slow pace we've seen and criticised in the other episodes. And of course, it's purposely done. How long are we going to put up with this nostalgia bait? I saw naive fans on Twitter, right, or formerly, basically X, formerly known as Twitter, saying that Lord Filoni, Lord Filoni is going to bring back Anakin Skywalker for good. No effing way. Who wants that? Yes, of course I love Hayden. Of course I'd love to see him back full time. First of all, he's a male, so that's never going to happen. And if you do that, you undo the character's sacrifices, his journey in the prequels, because I personally love the prequels and I don't give a shit if you don't. I don't want to see that. You know, Disney Star Wars have already taken away Darth Vader's sacrifice in The Return of the Jedi. Isn't that enough? So no, but he was never going to do that anyway. He just wanted to bring him back for a little bit to bring some excitement and interest to this series. Why were people going to cinemas to see this episode? Was it for the gal bosses? Was it for Ahsoka? No, it was Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker, and that's the only reason. The straight white male. That's why people paid you money, Disney, to go and watch a 52-minute waste of time episode of television on the big screen. And you conned them. You led them to believe they were going to see 52 minutes of Anakin Skywalker. As I said earlier, this should have been a two-hander between Ahsoka and Anakin Skywalker, and it wasn't. We should have seen more from live-action Clone Wars than we did. In fact, I've been saying for years, even though I think it's cheap and lazy to basically translate animation to live action, if you're going to do it, do a proper live action Clone Wars series with Rosario and with Hayden for 5 seasons. Now that would be great. Now you made him look younger using CGI. You could do that in the show. Of course, it would be very, very expensive, but you could do that. If you're so interested in Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka, but you're not going to do that because it's something the fans would gobble up. You'd never give us a live-action Rebels, would you? So you've given us a boring Ahsoka series and damaged the character of Ahsoka. Yes, the VFX is great in this series. Rosario is great in this series, and you know, you've got to give her a medal for being able to deliver something in a show that does nothing. No character development. There's not really a real story in this show. At the very least, we had Anakin Skywalker, and it was great while we saw him. I'm glad they didn't take liberties with the character and call him out for being a bad, straight white male. I suspected that's what was going to happen. I find the whole thing utterly disappointing, and all it was nostalgia bait. That's all it was. Let's get one thing absolutely clear. This wasn't an episode that did anything for Anakin Skywalker, for Ahsoka's story, because the whole thing is when we see Ahsoka in the world between worlds, Anakin says to her, "You need more training." No, she don't. Mate, you taught her everything that she needed to learn. There was nothing else to learn. And when she goes back, disappointingly, early in the episode to the real world, does she seem different? Does she seem that she's learned anything? Absolutely not. She's the same Ahsoka played by Rosario Dawson. Nothing has changed. I love Rosario Dawson, but Ashley Eccleston is Ahsoka Tano. I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling that she's Ahsoka. Yeah, they've made her up to look like Ahsoka, but she doesn't sound like Ahsoka. Even when they went down the line of the younger Ahsoka. It was great. It just didn't feel like the Ahsoka from Clone Wars to me. Because as I say, when I hear in my mind Ahsoka, it's Ashley Ecclestone. So, yes, seeing Anakin back was very, very exciting, but also very, very pointless.